Greetings from Area 51 Raceway. Today we're going to put the Fairlane chassis together. I'm just here in the garage just polishing up my full-scale car here. And let's hop on over to the bench and see we go from there and have some fun. Come join us. Here we are at the bench and we are going to start assembling our chassis. So the first thing I'll do is put the motor in, and we got a brand new 20,500 RPM long cam motor from Predator. And this is from Slot Car Corner. These motors that just came out, really good motor. They'll make your car, which I've tested, a second faster. And actually, before I do that, I actually got to mount the pin. I gotta put the pinion in. So first, let's put the pinion in. Actually, so I have a Pinion Press from Slot Car Invasion, and I highly recommend a Pinion Press and puller tool like this. This is going to go a long way with building scratch wheel cars if you're going to plan on building more and more. Then what I'm going to do is get my gear position here, and there's also another tool from Cloverleaf, and what this is to go on the back of the can. And now I've used it without it, but I kind of was concerned with sometimes pressing this in. What it does, it goes to the back here and kind of helps this, you know, not squeeze the crud out of it as per se. As you can see there, it goes right on the back of this right here, as you can see. Push this on. And in this way you could put the threaded part, which is pushing in on the motor, not against the end of the end bell of the can. So let's prepare this. I'm going to wind this back up here and position this. And what I usually do is I will get my gear and put it right kind of near the hole. That's how I do it. And then I get the motor and place it right here. Put the shaft right on it. And it's kind of a little bit of a ballet. And then I will, yep, again, like I said, you gotta have patience. Don't get frustrated or nothing. It's just a matter of positioning it. And just like that, we'll get it positioned. And let me line this up just like that. Now I have it kind of, as you can see, somewhat lined up. That should be good right there, right about there. And then now with the Slot Car Invasion tool, this usually is Loctited on, but as you can see, it spins on its own, and there's nothing wrong with the tool. It's just it'll give way and it won't stay stuck anymore. I could use Loctite or use a jam nut if I want on there and then to make this effective. But it also has on the end to put an Allen head on it, and I usually get an Allen head, and I'll just thread it in just like this. And you can see it's going in nice and easy. Now if you run into resistance and it stops, please do not continue forward by trying to rotate it. So what you're doing is the shaft is hitting probably on the part where it's not aiming into the hole, and then you're gonna bend or possibly damage the motor, which you don't want to do because it's a brand new motor, and don't do that. So if you feel it going through nice and easy like it is right now, you should go about there. And if you need to pull it out, no big deal. You could readjust it when you put it against your crown gear. Now I'm going about right there, and then I'm gonna take this out like that. And again, that little tool comes in pretty handy. I would recommend it. Pretty nice. And then we'll set these off to the side here. And now we have our gear pressed in. So what we'll do is we'll put our motor in here. And then what I'm going to do also is screw it in just for the meantime. I'm not using pan head screws. I'm going to use the what I have lying around, which are these are basically Allen head, cap screws. I'm going to use these instead just to use them up, but you could use this or use the pan head screws, which I usually normally do, which I got a lot of those. What I'm going to do is thread this in here and just snug it, just very little for now, because I'll show you what I'm going to do when I get this just locked in here temporarily, because I may need to pull it out. It depends on how far I push the pinion gear in, because I think I need to come out actually, because on these ones they tend to need to pull them out more with these crown gears right here. Now this is a Mid-America crown gear. It's a 27 tooth, 48 pitch. What I'm going to do here is put this inside here, if it's let me do it, just like that. And what I'm looking for is, what I want is this pinion gear to be centered, or say the crown gear to be centered on the pinion, in the middle of the pinion. That is about kind of on the edge, so I need to pull this gear out more. And again, like I said, I wasn't sure where I'd be at, and I think I went too far anyway. Now, and this is the nice part about the tool, is that you can pull this out, which is no big deal. That's why I just only put it in there kind of snug. So I'm going to take these out, just like that, and I'm going to pull this gear out. Now this is the nice part about this slot invasion tool. It's a double duty, so you have the press and then the puller. So I'm just going to pull the crown gear out just the pinion tooth out just a little, and I think that should be enough to center it on that crown gear. Then I'm going to reinsert the motor back into where it goes again on the chassis. And this could be a fun part, lining this up. Sometimes put those in there. On pan head screws, it's a little bit tougher, but these are a little bit easier to do. It's up to you what you want to use. It's always, the builder's choice. Lock that in there. I'm pretty confident that that should be good. Now I'm going to get the axle and the crown gear and put it in there like that. Now we're talking. Now, as you can see right there, how nice and centered I want that pinion on that crown, and I like it right there in the middle of this pinion gear. Perfect. That's where I exactly want it. I'm happy with that. I will then lock this down. Now, one thing about these also, as you can see when you spin this, make sure that you have clearance. You see how it kind of hits it? Now, that's because it isn't threaded in. Don't panic. You just need to find out, when you get it in there, if you need to cut down that end, it sometimes you have to do that. But let's see what happens here when we tighten this in more, and we may need to chop that down a little. And we're okay. We got clearance there. Clearance, just like Harry says. We're good there. It's not going to touch or interfere. I don't know if you could see that. What you're looking at right there is making sure that it clears that right there, which it does. Now, if it doesn't, then you have to just grind down the top of that motor shaft so that it doesn't interfere with it. And it does happen on some cars. But it looks like we're good there. I don't see any problems. It's not going to hit it or rub on it or nothing. So there we go. We have our motor and our pinion in. Now we'll put the wheels on, which are these ones right here. And we'll need spacers for this particular one right here. And I'll put my wheel on. And this is where we're going to talk about some side play here. So here we go. Got the correct one in here. So and what we're going to do is tighten this one up. Just like that. Okay, now you see we have no movement back and forth, and that's not what we want. We want some side play, which is important. You don't want the gears to bind. There's some right there. Nice and free moving, no resistance. Resistance is futile, as they say. So there's a pretty good amount right there. Now, depending on how your car handles, you may loosen it up a little, but we'll go with that for now, because sometimes some like it really loose. But we got some movement there, as you can see, back and forth. You want play. You don't want it to be binding or tight, or the car is going to struggle, and then the motor will get hot, and it'll be miserable. You always want slot cars to really roll freely. There's that's a nice amount of play. We'll go with that. So we'll get our front wheels on. Just like that. Nice and free rolling. Put our other wheel on. Get our tire. Oh, right on there perfectly. That's the way it should be. And you want movement, which is fine. That's good movement right there. You don't want it, again, you don't want the front to bind also, which is just as important, because you want the car to freewheel. Get the wrong set screw or set screwdriver. Tighten it there. There's your nice play right there, or nice movement. Okay, got pretty much the car, most of it assembled here. So now we're going to put the guide in. Excuse me, I haven't had my coffee yet. So when you place this wires, there's different types. There's some that go in here and then you mash the wire back, and then the braid slides in here, the brass part, and pushes it back. Or you have the type that you solder onto the tangs, and there's like brass tangs here. On this particular one, I'm going to solder it into where there's a groove cut out into the guide. And usually what I'll do is I'll pre-tin these and then just put a little heat, and then we'll solder on there, and this will be pretty nice. So it should work out. So let me solder these and we'll come back. Right back, we have our lead wire soldered. Now this particular one is, they a little bit different, but make sure that these wires will get hard here because you've soldered up, so you want to bend them in a way to that it'll flex back and forth. You'll see what I mean. Now I put a shim in here. This looks like a 30,000 shim, and that should be fine for this. And it's a little high, as you can see, but we'll go with it just for now, and then we'll make our adjustments and shim down. For now, I just wanted to use this as an example to show you how high it sits up. And again, you see that's pretty high on the block. So it's kind of hard to tell if it's barely touching. I don't think it's barely touching. So what we'll do is we'll readjust that by removing that shim and going less. And that's usually what you have to do. And so we'll put our nut on here. Of course, make sure we get that on there straight. There we go, straight. I usually use a nut driver to put these on. I just like the control of a nut driver. It's a little bit easier than a little wrench, but nut drivers to me really help with that. You can see it's pretty tight. Oh, one thing I should be doing here also, and I do recommend doing this, is putting a little PTFE grease on there. That'll help the guide move around nice and free. So I'll just squeeze a little out here, just like that. Get it just a little bit. I'm not getting a massive amounts of it, making a big mess. And I'll put it right underneath here like so. Just like that. That'll give me some nice greasy movement there. And I'll put it down just like that. Get a little bit looser. You don't want it super loose because you don't want slop. Well, that's pretty good right there. Go with that. And there's that right there. And again, that's pretty good there. See, as you could still slide them around. I think that's good right there. We'll go with that. I think that's fine. So, got our guide on, and put that away. Excuse me a moment there. And we have it all on there. So, now what's left to do is put our wires to our motor, or lead wires. So, what I do is I usually cross them. So this way, if they're crossed, it'll give this kind of a little bounce back on the guide. You know, you'll get it more when I've got it soldered on, but it kind of gives it that little bounce back, like so. So that's why I cross the wires. I mean, you could do it a different way you want. And here I have my little tubes, which I already made during the build, the chassis build, to slide in here as a guide. Keep the wires kind of in a neat position and tucked away. And this will be, of course, the left, which will be the positive, left side of the lead, and the right, which is the negative, right side of lead wire of the braid. And then I'll just trim my wires, and just like that. And there you go. I shouldn't interfere with the body. Give some bounce back. I'll probably have to loosen that just a teeny bit. Just a teeny bit. Not much. Perfect. Just like that. And that is our assembled chassis. Not too shabby. Not too hard to do. Always remember before you pre-run the car, put some oil from Slot Car Corner, synthetic lubricant. This is all from Slot Car Corner. Put some lubricant here. And obviously on your oil lights, your bushings, and your front, and that's it. And obviously there's no open end here, so you don't have to put oil there, so you don't have to worry about that. But make sure you lube those up before you run the car. Do your little test run, and you could test run this without the body. You just get it out there. It will handle a little differently, so I mean, once you get the body on, you'll really see where it's at. But running it with the chassis, you kind of get an idea how it is, and if the front tires are, you know, touching and stuff. That's actually really nice how I have that right there. I like how that's doing that. It's not really, how'd you say, perfect. You just want them barely touching if you can. And again, you can look at the front of it too and see where you're at as well with, you know, what it looks like when you look at the front of the car like that, face it towards you, you know, see where you're at, where they sit, or if you need to make them a little higher. And again, if you make them a little teeny bit higher, which I'll test it, there's always 4,000s, 15,000s. You know, I use 10,000s. So I used how many, like, at least that's what I have marked on the box, like 5 or 6 of them. So probably like 5, can't remember. But all I'm achieving is trying to get this to barely touch, you know, the block. It looks like scrapping. Then another thing I'll do is I'll put floor shine on these to make them slick, so that when they come into the corner, they, you know, you want the front to slide, you don't want it to grab, otherwise it deslots. But that's it for now there. That's pretty much the assembly of the chassis. And as you can see, we have our body here. I just fell off the stand there. We have our body here, and this has been cleared, and this is what it looks like. And things I did do on detailing this is I used a chrome marker and went over this, and I painted this, and I'll tell you what I did. So on the front, how I got this grill to look like this way is what I use, what's black wash, which I talked about black washing your on a video previously. I talked about black washing your grills, and you know, black wash is really nice. It's from Vallejo, and all you do, this is water based. You just brush it on, and I use this little applicator, to brush it on, and then just give it, you're giving it depth, some depth instead of making it look all chromy and stuff like that. You give it some color and depth. And I just wiped it down a little and let it dry. And then here I used the obviously some orange gloss enamel paint on there to do that. And then use the chrome pen for the little hood pins. Then I ran around the trim, and then I also black washed it too, just to give it some old appearance, I guess. And then also I black washed the grills right here also that are for the the window vents, just like that, all right there. Then in the back I did a marker around here, and then I did some black wash here, and that's how the body looks like. And I just have to add numbers. I'm going to add sticker numbers. I'm not adding decals because I already cleared this. And the Cretex paint looks really nice once you put some 2K paint, or 2X paint, excuse me, which is the spray can. This is a rattle can, lacquer paint, or you could use water-based paint, which they also have in the can. That's a gloss as well. I just prefer to use the rattle can because it's just kind of easier. But doing the paint was fun. I enjoyed this project. It's not perfect, but it's decent. Again, I need to brush up on my skills, and again, I'm doing this in a booth, on inside a shed, which isn't good. I'll put that on there, and that's just what the car looks like, obviously with the wheels, and I don't have the body mount for it yet, but there you go. And there she blows. That's what she looks like. As you can see what it's gonna kind of be like. Won't be that low, obviously, because I got the body resting on it, but that's pretty much, we're getting there. And once we get our lead wires on, we'll test it on the track and see how she handles, and we'll put the body away for now. And pretty much we are getting there. I have to add the glass, which I have right here, and I'll go ahead and lube all this up, and we'll do a test run on the car later. So for now, that's it from Area 51 Raceway. Oh, we will cover interiors, by the way, because as you can see, I have my interior pieces right here. Got the roll bars from the kit and the dash, and I just cut them down. And then what I did also, just so you know, I got the outline of the actual interior and cut it out to fit. So hopefully this will fit on there. We'll try it out. I'll go over this as well with interiors, because I know a lot of people, interiors are a little tough. They're always tough for me. So anyways, that's it from Area 51 Raceway. You guys, as always, take care and have fun racing.